The air was thick with the smell of burning metal and fear. It was supposed to be a day like any other. Children were playing in the streets, their laughter echoing through the narrow alleys. Mothers prepared breakfast, the aroma of spices filling their homes. Fathers went about their daily work, hoping to bring home some semblance of normalcy. Then the world exploded. The ground shook, buildings crumbled, and fire rained from the sky. The familiar sounds of daily life were replaced by the piercing screams of the wounded and the terrified cries of children. Dust filled the air, choking those who dared to breathe. The world went dark, the sun obscured by the smoke of 1,000 tragedies. This was Gaza, once again at the mercy of a conflict that was not of its own creation. For the people of Gaza and all Palestinian areas, this was not a new horror. They have lived under the shadow of conflict for generations. Their lives have been punctuated by the rhythmic thud of bombs and the gut-wrenching silence that follows. Their homes have become shelters, their streets battlefields. Their children have grown up too fast, their innocence stolen by the ever-present threat of violence. Amidst the rubble and despair, a small figure emerged. A young boy, no older than 5, his face streaked with dirt and tears, clutched a mangled toy car. His eyes, wide with terror and confusion, searched frantically for his family. His tiny voice, hoarse from screaming, called out for his mother. His words lost in the cacophony of sirens and falling debris. This boy, this innocent child, is but one face in a sea of suffering. His story, though unique in its details, is tragically common in Gaza. He represents the thousands of children who have been robbed of their childhoods, their futures uncertain, their lives forever marked by the trauma of war. He is a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict, a cost measured not in miles of territory gained or lost, but in the shattered dreams and broken bodies of the innocent. The world watches, often from a distance, as this tragedy unfolds. We see the images on our screens, hear the stories of loss and despair, and yet for many the conflict remains a distant reality. We forget that behind the statistics and news reports are real people, living, breathing human beings with hopes and dreams just like ours. We forget that the boy with the toy car could be our son, our brother, our neighbor. The conflict in Gaza is not new. It is a festering wound that has plagued the region for decades, its roots tangled in a complex web of history, religion, and politics. To understand the present, we must turn back the pages of time, to a past marked by displacement, injustice, and the bitter seeds of resentment. For generations, the Palestinian people have endured the pain of dispossession, their land taken, their voices silenced, their very existence challenged. The echoes of past conflicts reverberate through the present, reminding us that the cycle of violence begets only more violence. The ghosts of past injustices haunt the present, fueling the flames of hatred and mistrust. We are reminded of the words of William Faulkner: "The past is never dead, it's not even past." The past lives on in the memories of the people, passed down from generation to generation, a constant reminder of the wounds that have yet to heal. The plight of the Palestinians resonates with other historical struggles against oppression. We see shades of the American Civil Rights Movement, the fight against apartheid in South Africa, the struggle for independence in India. These struggles, though separated by time and geography, are united by a common thread: the fight for freedom, for justice, for the right to exist with dignity. The story of Gaza is inextricably linked to the larger issue of land dispossession. The roots of the conflict can be traced back thousands of years, but these specific atrocities relate to the events of 1948, when hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were forced from their homes during the war that was the creation of Israel. This mass displacement, known as the Nakba, or catastrophe, created a refugee crisis that continues to this day. Generations of Palestinians have grown up in refugee camps, clinging to the hope of one day returning to their ancestral homes. They hold on to the keys of their grandparents' houses, passing them down from one generation to the next, a symbol of their dispossession and their unwavering belief in their right of return. The issue of land and belonging lies at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a Gordian knot that seems impossible to untangle. The dispossession of the Palestinian people is not just a historical event. It is an ongoing process or fight that has been going on millennia within the region. The ongoing mass expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, illegal under international law, continues to eat away at the land that Palestinians hope will one day form part of their future state. The demolition of Palestinian homes and the forced eviction of families from East Jerusalem further exacerbate the sense of injustice and displacement. With the help of the US, the UK and others, the State of Israel has allowed, or rather encouraged, over 700,000 Israeli citizens to occupy land that is not their own. 700,000 people is not an accidental intrusion. It is by definition an invasion. Go, no, really go. Go complain because you have been thrown off of your ancestral land. Careful though, because the Israeli security police will shoot you dead without a care nor a worry in the world. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is often portrayed as an intractable cycle of violence, with blame cast on both sides. While it is true that both Israelis and Palestinians have suffered immensely, it is crucial to recognize the power dynamics at play. Israel, with its advanced military capabilities and the servile backing of powerful allies, holds a position of overwhelming dominance over the Palestinians. Remember the story, or adage, of the boy who cried wolf? Crying anti-Semitism is always far better, as they will never stop or learn lest being smeared for anti-Semitism. Filthy behavior by all accounts. The Israeli occupation, with its checkpoints, settlements and restrictions on movement, creates a system of control that illegally limits Palestinian freedom and obviously fuels multi-generational resentment. The Palestinians, denied basic rights and with limited options for peaceful resistance, will sometimes resort to violence out of desperation and frustration. This, in turn, is met with disproportionate force by the Israeli occupiers, perpetuating and escalating the cycle of violence and deepening the cycle of mistrust. Breaking this cycle of violence requires a fundamental shift in the power dynamics and a commitment to addressing the root causes of the conflict. It requires recognizing the humanity of both sides and acknowledging the legitimate grievances of the Palestinian people. It demands an end to the occupation, a just resolution to the refugee issue, and a commitment to building a future where Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in peace and security. Perhaps the most heartbreaking victims of the conflict are the children. Growing up in Gaza under the weight of occupation and the constant threat of violence will most certainly take likely devastating toll on young minds and bodies. They witness horrors no child should ever see, experience losses no child should ever endure, and carry burdens no child should ever need to bear. The statistics paint a grim picture. According to UNICEF, over 80% of children in Gaza suffer from some form of trauma. Many struggle with nightmares, bedwetting and anxiety. They have difficulty concentrating in school and exhibit signs of withdrawal and aggression. Their childhoods, stolen by conflict, leave invisible scars that will last a lifetime. The children of Gaza deserve more than just our pity. They deserve our protection, our support, and our unwavering commitment to building a better future for them. They deserve to grow up in a world where they can play without fear, where they can dream without limits, where they can live with dignity and hope. They are not just statistics. They are the future, and their voices must be heard. As the tragedy in Gaza continues, one cannot help but question the integrity of the international community. Where is the outrage? Where is the collective action to end the suffering? Sadly, our species is for the most part uncaring and indifferent to the plight of the needy, which includes Palestinians. Political expediency, strategic interests, and a general sense of fatigue, along with a general lack of giving a hoot, have all contributed to apathy and inaction. The international community has a moral imperative to act, but they also have a legal imperative to act. The State of Israel is a failed state under the UN definition, as was Saddam's Iraq. Exactly the same arguments and exactly the same conspirators. Saddam had WMDs, chemical weapons, because the UK, US and France sold them to him to use in the never-ending war with Shia Iran. We cannot, should not, but do stand idly by, while innocent lives are lost, while children are traumatized, while a whole population is held hostage by a system of oppression. Silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. We must demand accountability from all parties to the conflict, hold perpetrators of human rights abuses responsible for their actions, and work tirelessly to find a just and lasting solution for an easy question. The ongoing tragedy in Gaza begs the question, when will enough be enough? How many more lives must be lost? How many more children must suffer? How many more dreams must be shattered before the world takes meaningful action to end this conflict? The time for platitudes and empty promises is long gone. The international community must move beyond words and take concrete steps to address the root causes of the conflict, end the occupation, and create the conditions for a just and lasting peace. We must ask ourselves, what will it take for us to finally act? Will it be the image of another child pulled from the rubble, their lifeless eyes staring blankly at a world that failed them? Will it be the cries of a mother who has lost everything, her voice hoarse from screaming for a justice that never comes? Or will it be the realization that our own humanity is diminished when we allow such suffering to continue unabated? The answer lies not in military solutions or political maneuvering, but in our shared humanity. It lies in recognizing the fundamental rights and dignity of all people, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, or nationality. It lies in understanding that true peace cannot be achieved through force or coercion, but through dialogue, empathy, and a commitment to non-tribalistic behavior. If you please,